Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go!
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
Hello and welcome to the QTB podcast. My name is Nick, and I am joined, as always, by the one, the only, the two-time runner-up for the California Dad I'd Like to Meet award, and let's be honest, Dustin Hoffman paid off the judges. It's QTB's Brad!
Woo! Yes. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Right, Nick?
That's right. Oh, man, it's good to have you.
Oh,
yeah.
It's always good to be here. I mean, come on. Every week we get together. We talk about what's going on in the gaming world. And right now, we've just had chock full week after week, guest after guest after guest. And guess what?
Yes.
This week doesn't disappoint. Who do we got tonight, Nick?
You know, we've been filling those slots there with in Bruno's absence, who should be returning soon. And I mean, it's been, the bar has been set. And here once again, we are joined by, from the QTB crew, Justin himself, aka Knight Strider, with two eyes, right? That's the thing. Yeah. Knight Strider on Twitch.
And the old Strider, two eyes.
There you go.
What's up, guys? How you
aboard.
doing?
Good
Thank
to
you very
see
much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Audience. There's the audience.
Delayed reaction.
And kill it.
They had to, embrace for it.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're here, Justin, because you are our Resident Evil expert, and you've written a lot of blogs for our article, a lot of articles for our blog. Words are hard, and many of them, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't have that sound. I need that one. Yeah. Yeah, that is one I am missing. Bruno, we need that.
Yeah.
We'll talk afterwards. Yeah, but of course, since you are our go-to, we're going to be talking about this state of play, and there is some Resident Evil news and even some survival horror news as well, developments that we definitely want to get your take on. So welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate it for me. I can't talk either.
Yeah.
Thanks for
it's tough when you're live,
tonight, guys. Yeah, it is. But yeah, it's a pleasure being here as always.
Good. All right. Well, we're going to just dive right into it because, like I said, this state of play, there is just so much to get into. This has been a good one overall for Sony. We have been talking for a long time about the exclusives and just is there content on this aside from this attempt they've made, right, with this new PS Plus model to really get people invested into the PlayStation ecosystem. But really, I think this state of play was a win as well for PC gamers because we got to see some major titles announced for the PC. And this is a direction that the gaming industry as a whole is heading. Exclusives are barely exclusives anymore. Xbox has been doing it for quite some time now, and now Sony is dipping their toes in the water of getting their games on PC. And we'll get to that shortly. But I think we'll just kind of go down the list. And as always, we'll be incorporating our viewer comments from our live stream at youtube.com/quitthebuild for those that are following us live. So the first one that we have here, and this is going to go straight to you, Justin, is the Resident Evil 4 Remake and the PSVR 2 editions of the Resident Evil 4 Remake and Resident Evil Village as well. This was a big state of play for an RE fan like yourself, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a shock. I mean, the Resident Evil 4 announcement was kind of hinted at, a lot of reliable leaks coming out, prior to the state of play, but actually seeing it in not really gameplay, but just seeing the trailer itself, the little teaser that they presented at the very start of the state of play. I mean, that's the first thing they just threw at us in the face.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful. I mean, I was a huge fan of the original RE4. I absolutely loved the game. Especially everybody loved the mercenaries mode that, spawned, just crazy amounts of fun for that.
Right.
But yeah, no, the overall trailer itself, I mean, it looks stunning. It looks a lot more dark and gritty this time around compared to the original Resident Evil 4, where it seemed it was more in the light, I guess you could say. Everything was much brighter looking compared to this. It's very almost Resident Evil 8 or Village. It's just really dark and gritty.
Well, yeah. If, Nick, if you look at the press release from the State of Play, they say reawaken for 2023, Resident Evil 4 preserves the essence of the original game while using Capcom's new proprietary RE engine to deliver that modernized gameplay, a reimagined storyline, and a vividly detailed graphics, like you're saying, Justin, right? So, this release is for new gen only for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. So I'm thinking you're seeing that detailed graphics, the vividness, the kind of reimagined, modernized gameplay coming through that teaser trailer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've already seen, I think that the PSVR side of things is where things get really interesting because, Resident Evil has already established itself as being a staple of the original PSVR. A lot of people really enjoyed that playthrough. One of the few, I think, kind of AAA experiences that you could really get with that hardware, whereas most things, just like you typically see in the VR space of being one-off experiences or just, short-lived kind of novel concepts. So, I mean, what is this doing for you, Justin, from a VR standpoint, right? To see that you're not only getting this new version eventually, maybe not day and date, but also getting Resident Evil Village. I know you were kind of critical of the direction Village was going in. Do you think that VR will add anything to that?
I think VR would 100% add to Village. Even if they, once they get this set in stone, they can actually probably. I mean, I see them doing this in the future, going back and as far as I'm aware, I don't think this exists, but doing this with 7 as well, creating a VR experience for that. But I mean, it's a first-person game. Capcom made that huge leap going from fixed camera angles, and then they went to the over-the-shoulder camera with Resident Evil 4 was the first game they started that with, and then actually jumping into first-person view. I mean, that's just. It screams VR. It really does. I mean, it's just to immerse yourself in that world and that tale of survival horror, seeing if you can escape. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
I couldn't handle the jump scares. Could you, Brad? I couldn't do it.
No,
Just straight up.
And I think that's the biggest upside of State of Play's, kind of takeaway for me, but also its biggest question mark, right? Like, not only was Resident Evil Village and 4 announced for the PSVR 2, but I think there were a slew of other titles also that were announced. I think there was a Walking Dead new game, and then No Man's Sky, Horizon, Forbidden West. Like, there were all these games that were announced for the new, PSVR 2, but there weren't any additional hardware details, no release date, no pricing announced. So it seems like they're really building a really strong core set of games for the launch of the VR2, but we're still skim on details on release date, pricing, tech build. I feel like it's a big gamble to put so much hype into the games that are coming for this VR experience without a lot of information about how different it's going to be from the original, right? Which I feel like in some ways was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised the PSVR 2 happened. And this is just from a layman's perspective. It just didn't seem like enough was happening on the platform that really brought people in. I mean, there were some interesting experiences. Resident Evil, like Justin was saying, is definitely one of the big ones that happened there. And there were some other, that Iron Man experience and some others as well, even Beat Saber getting a port. But, you want to play that on other platforms, you can get those custom songs if you know how. There was just something about that space where PSVR, especially once you were stuck with that tethered helmet, that kind of took away. We're in this era now of the Oculus Quest, the Meta Quest, right? Of having that wireless freedom, and so many more developers are developing for that tech because it's way more affordable and it's easy for someone to pick it up. Like, it's like a $300 headset now. But the problem is that's a lower end spec, and so people are developing for that lowest common denominator. A great example of that is one of the things they revealed here, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. The original is available on Quest. And I mean, that's an issue, because if you are going to create something specifically for the PSVR 2, and you kind of need to, is that you are really taking what was already a niche audience and making it even more specific. But obviously the numbers don't lie. There has to be a good reason that they said, you know what, we're gonna kind of leap into this for one more generation. The thing for me that still is causing VR, and this is not exclusive to the PSVR, is the field of view. I still feel like when I'm putting on a VR headset, no matter how immersive or interesting the experience is, I feel like I'm viewing it through beer goggles. It's just, it's fuzzy. It's
Yeah.
it's not always perfect, and for me, the motion sickness and even vertigo if I get the wrong or a poorly made game or a game that doesn't handle movement correctly, locomotion correctly, it really messes me up. But for me, the field of view is the big thing. I need to be able to feel like I'm in a world, and we just aren't there yet with VR tech. Now, back in January, we did find out that what we do know about the PSVR so far is that it's going to roughly double the resolution to essentially 4K in each eye. That part's great. OLED HDR, fantastic. Same refresh rate, but the field of view is only going to increase by 10%, up to 110 degrees from 100. So we're still in that. For me personally, that's still the gateway. If you can, if a true VR experience, we were just talking before, Justin, about being able to just plug something into your brain and actually just experience something for real, and we know it's going to happen. It's just very difficult for me to want to invest in experiences that ultimately for me come down to novel one-off things. We've talked about this many times. Bruno's been very critical of VR and the novelty behind it. I'm one to agree as someone that owns the original Quest and did invest into the games. I just don't come back to them no matter how original or interesting they are. So I think that's the big challenge is, can you truly come out with an experience that makes people want to purchase an add-on, a hardware add-on for a console? It's a big ask.
What do you think, Justin? I mean, are you interested in going the VR route? Have you had something in the past where you've been able to experience that, or does the VR2 game lineup so far look like it would be intriguing enough for you to take the dive in and get that additional hardware?
What we've seen so far, especially with the recent state of play, it's really not enough for me to get into PlayStation VR. I'm still kind of skeptical about VR technology all in itself. So this isn't just Sony. This is just broad spectrum. For me, VR, my main thing is I wear glasses. Can't see a thing without them, and I have any VR headset that I've wore. Even if I take my glasses off, some of them have adjusting, for the screens. I still can't see, and if I leave my glasses on to play the game, it hurts really bad after maybe 5-10 minutes of gameplay. So it's a comfort thing for me when that. Another thing is the audio aspect. When I think of immersion, the VR, the idea behind it, I love it. It's a great idea to implement for gaming and to get that extra level of immersion when you're playing a game. But the audio is something that I think it lacks. I have used the Quest 2 to where it does kind of, without using any type of headphones or earplugs, anything, it does create a nice soft audio level.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to explain it. I don't do audio stuff.
Kind of a 3D audio
But
space
yeah,
it kind of creates.
exactly.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's no noise canceling, or you can hear everything that's going on around you. So it just completely kills the immersion aspect of what they're trying to accomplish. So me, it's just an audio thing. In addition to trying to get that extra level of immersion in.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. I'm with you, Justin. We think VR is so visual focused, but the audio aspect is the other part. Like, that's how you feel immersed. I mean, I think that's like what separates watching a movie at home on a small TV is a bigger screen in theater and the surround sound. Like, you feel like you're in the moment, you're in the scene, right? And I would hope that if I'm playing a VR game that from an audio perspective, I feel like I'm in the midst of what's going on in the middle of the game that I'm playing, right, Nick?
Yeah. The full immersion matters, and also the inconvenience of you're going to have the cable and you need to be in front of your TV. You don't have that luxury of going to a specific area in your house that maybe there's a little more space available, because if you can punch and break something, including walls and TVs, you will. So that's another luxury that's kind of lost in this type of experience. But there are people that swear by it, and I got to tell you, as far as the games that are being announced with this so far,
it looks good.
There's good things to like here. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is a great VR game in its own right. So getting that Chapter 2, great stuff. Also, I have to give major kudos here because No Man's Sky was announced for VR2. And you want to talk about a full-fledged experience, right? That long-term redemption story that No Man's Sky has gone through. and being able to, as far as we can tell from this, experience most or all of the current No Man's Sky experience in full VR. There is going to be a lot to like there, and I can see a very strong community forming around that. As there's just so much to do and see, that to be able to do that, with a 4K headset. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to like. I know I can't because the motion would kill me.
Right, but you're right, Nick.
Yeah.
There's so much digestible content there to have that type of an immersive experience in those open world, open map concepts. I mean, same thing with Horizon Forbidden West. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get a lot of that experience, or Call of the Mountain, right? Like, you're gonna be able to have that. That to me is where VR should thrive, right? I don't need a kind of cookie cutter level by level game. I want something where I feel like have the freedom to explore and choose, and it's that next level of exploration and like I feel like I'm looking around and I'm seeing the world that has been cultivated for me to play and experience. And I think that's where they're going to thrive, is with things like with games like No Man's Sky and Horizon Forbidden West and things like that. I think there's a lot of potential there to have it be successful.
For sure.
I'm really hyped that because the whole idea for Horizon VR Call of the Mountain is it's its own kind of linear, exploration kind of, adventure game, like a lot of kind of VR experiences are, but it's tied to a very successful franchise that's very important at the core of the PS5's identity right now. So much success for Horizon. Great idea, great tie-in. And is really going to make just about anybody who is in the PlayStation ecosystem, because naturally you're going to love Horizon, is going to want to jump in and get that tech. So that's going to be a very important, hopefully close to release for the PSVR 2. If they can get that out day and date with the hardware, or I mean, God forbid, even bundle it in together, that would be a deal maker for a lot of people. I like the direction they headed there.
This
We're
holiday
also getting
season.
some.
I was to say,
some very.
You know what else is in the ecosystem with all that is the State of Play ecosystem is our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Of course, Spider-Man. And we're going to dive into that in 1 second, but I do want to get to some of our viewer comments, because a lot of people have chimed in on the VR side of things, and that's kind of where that presentation stops. So we have the Dudus Monk saying there needs to be a better refresh rate and resolution. He always found it to be blurry. And yeah, I don't even think doubling the resolution really matters. It's still, you get what they call that screen door effect, right? As long as you can see the pixels, you're going to feel like you're not in that world. And when you have that screen, literally an inch in front of your eyes, 8K, 16K, there's still going to be that problem. I think that's a very valid point. Also, we have Epic Capture Productions saying it's starting to get there. We just need more content pumped in. So there's a variety incentive to keep innovating and getting better. Maybe we're just in the Atari stage of VR. I sure hope so, man. I hope so. I hope we continue to see innovations. I just see a race to the bottom with what Meta is doing with, it's working, but let's buy out Oculus, right? And let's create the cheapest headset that we can and get it out to the people so we can push our metaverse nonsense, which that's a whole different conversation. But, as a result of that, the VR games that are being made, again, for that lowest common denominator, I think it actually detracts from the true, anybody that's beyond a casual gamer is going to have a hard time wanting to get into VR as more than just a novelty. So, they've shifted the platform. It's not about gaming anymore. It's about an experience, right? It's about pushing their platform, pushing the meta experience, right? The metaverse, right? Which could in its own way innovate and drive how games are produced for VR. But at the end of the day, it's going to be different than if VR was being led by game developers versus being led by a social media, giant, right? There you go. So now I know you were excited to jump into this, Brad. And look, I mean, Spider-Man, already has been jumping into the multiverse recently, with that MCU, and now we're seeing a little bit of a multiverse of our own with some cross-platform ports here of Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man Remastered announced for PC with the Miles Morales also version of that, also to launch at a later date. We're going to get it on August 12th on the Steam and Epic Games Store. And it's going to include all prior DLC. Justin, this is a big deal because this is kind of one of the darlings of the Sony exclusive space. And for them to say, you know what, we like money. Here you go, Steam. Here you go, Epic Games Store. Do you think that this jeopardizes at all the sanctity of these big games, needing to be on the PlayStation in order for it to succeed as a platform?
That's a really good question. To be honest, exclusivity has always been something that I've kind of hated in a sense. So it's really interesting to see that they're just dishing this out everywhere. I mean, I feel like they had a lot of room to be able to do this move just because of the fact that they started off the state of play so strongly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they said this in the state of play, but with Resident Evil 4 coming out and don't think they said it was a Sony exclusive or PS5 exclusive. So there's a good chance that could be, multi-platform, maybe PC, Microsoft. But seeing that they are doing this with Spider-Man, it's a big move on their part, especially if that's going to include everything that the game has came out with or attached to it as far as DLC goes in the past. That's really awesome. I mean, you're getting this massive upgrade and everything that's ever existed for that game in that same purchase. I mean, it's a smart move by Sony, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, this brings a whole new meaning to Sony's slogan here of "Play has no limits," right? Because as a PC gamer, you really have to feel like this was a better overall state of play for you than for someone that is a PlayStation purist.
Well, no, just to be able to maybe get my hands on this and play this, right? I mean, I think it's an indication that Sony is increasing its efforts on the PC platform, right? I mean, obviously it's not going console to console, but seeing its efforts to increase its presence in the PC platform universe. And they brought God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn to PC, and now they're bringing Spider-Man. I think that Uncharted Legacy of Thieves is also set to come out on PC as well. And so, you're looking at what they're bringing to that arena, and I think it's promising to see that there's at least a little light at the end of the tunnel, that there's folks in the PC world who are kind of the innocent bystander of the console wars, and now they're getting at least a little bit of opportunity to get exposure to some of these games that have been, deemed exclusive for so long, right? I mean, Spider-Man came out in like 2018 for the PlayStation 4, and then obviously a remastered version came out for PS5 in 2020, and so alongside the Miles Morales, DLC. So the fact that we're now getting a second life or third life per se now on PC is exciting, and it shows you, I think, the success of the franchise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, man, Spider-Man is just that. We talk about printing money. There's a reason why Sony has had a vice grip on the IP for this long. And being so selective about, we'll let you do things with it when and if we say so. And it's gotten so complicated. But I mean, there's really no downside to this.
The games have been so critically acclaimed that there's no point in. I mean, there's value in porting it and bringing it to PC. Like they're gonna continue
time on the platform.
Yeah, they're gonna continue to make more money now. Like this is in any way, I think it's a cash cow type of a business move, but it's gonna work. Like people are going to buy this on PC. Yeah. They're gonna want to play it, and it's gonna look great, and it's gonna run great on PC. It's gonna look fantastic.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I think there are some again, PlayStation purists that do want to go that Nintendo route and say, well, we want you to continue to only put out games on our platform and not put it out there, and maybe even think that Sony has been kind of led astray. Wait a second, led astray for our next game. Took me a while to load that one up. For Stray, right? The adorable Stray Kitty Cat game from Annapurna and Blue 12 Studio. This is going to release on July 19th for the PS4 and PS5. You want to talk about PlayStation exclusives that make me jealous. This one right here takes the cake, because when I first saw the trailer for this, probably at least a year ago, we've been seeing kind of some clips of this that making the round for a while. I was like, oh, I love it. I'm instantly hooked by this concept of this stray kitty in this cyberpunk dystopian future who has this backpack that can kind of talk for it, and it's just kind of the host going around. And I mean, anything with a cat, man, it sells. But the actual game itself looks really fun. So, Justin, I mean, what do we need to do to get this on Xbox, get this on Nintendo? Come on.
I mean, first of all, who doesn't want to play as a cat? I mean,
Yeah.
my wife especially is crazy for this game. She is super looking forward to it. But correct me if I'm wrong. Do you say this is a Sony exclusive?
It is. Yeah, it's going to launch day and date for and be free for PS Plus Extra and Premium members. So it's going to be a game they're just kind of tossing in there.
I find that surprising because you can buy that on Steam. So it's on PC as well. That took me back if they said that in the state of play. I mean, if it is an exclusive to PlayStation, then I predict it's probably end up going to be a time exclusive. To where maybe for the first month or two, it's going to you can only get it on PS5.
Oh yeah, it's a console exclusive. You're correct.
Right.
Yeah, there is you get that a PC version. But
okay.
It does say for Windows, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so at some point, then I mean, all that aside, the game looks fantastic. I mean, again, who doesn't want to play as a cat?
I mean, the actual movement mechanics, they look
it looks
good.
beautiful.
It's a convincing cat. There had to be some mocap. Yeah. We did that one episode, remember, Brad, about the cats in mocap suits, but it was like a joke. They probably actually did it for this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember
Can you imagine getting a cat in a mocap suit?
They did a whole documentary on it. It was hilarious.
All I have to say, like this game, Nick, your segues are the cat's meow. Hey.
Oh, here it is.
But no, I think
we have fun here.
Right. I think this is one of those games that just visually it grabs your attention, and it's something we haven't seen before. It's not something that seems to be kind of a watered down or replicated version of a prior game. This feels fresh. It feels like it's something that we're gonna want to check out and is going to be popular amongst the fan base that it has. So I'm excited to see how well it does and how it gets reviewed, to see if it ends up being kind of one of those dark horses for, not a game of the year necessarily, but just for a really strong game in 2022.
Yeah. And a lot our viewers here are definitely getting into the concept of this because Epic Capture Production is already is just absolutely gutted that it's a console exclusive. And Terry, the Dudas Monk, there saying he's looking forward to Stray on PC. I'll probably get this on PC if my PC can handle it because I need to play this game. And so it's every now and then, man, they grab a little exclusive here and there that it kind of hurts a little bit more than the AAA games because I think as gamers we feel entitled that these smaller releases that we'll be able to play them on just about any console. But every now and then, Sony or Xbox or someone just kind of sneaks one under the radar. They got my kitty cat, man. Come on.
Snatched them up.
Yeah. Well, going from cute kitty cats to just downright terrifying survival horror experiences. And again, Justin, we're going to just pass it right off to you here, buddy.
Yeah.
The Callisto Protocol, we got a very detailed trailer here and also a release date on December 2nd of this year. It's from some of the original Dead Space team members. Right. And I believe it because, again, it's one of the only games I played for 2 minutes and uninstalled and did not ask for a refund because it was my fault that we have this game. Now, I remember at some point they were saying it was going to have some kind of tie-in to the public battlegrounds universe, right? PUBG. But then at the last second they said, PlayerUnknown's, that they said, well, that's out the door. So it's its own thing now. But I mean, what are you seeing here? Is this something that's going to be worth our time?
Yes. Just straight out, yes.
Okay.
When I first saw the trailer, to be honest, I thought it was maybe PS5 working or Sony working with EA and making Dead Space an exclusive. It has that Dead Space 5. I mean, 100%. I don't really know. I guess none of us really know the setup for the game. I mean, it looks like you're a prisoner on some foreign alien planet that it obviously takes place in the future, and you're just trying to escape. Maybe has the warden gone crazy? Because apparently some guy has a say over whether you live or die.
Yeah.
You have all these crazy looking mutated biological humanized weapons. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
here we go. I'll set the
Like-
table for our listeners. In
Okay.
Callisto Protocol, the player controls Jacob Lee, a prisoner at an off-world jail called the Black Iron. The prison
Okay.
is then attacked by a mysterious alien force that seems to corrupt people into horrible monsters. The player will work together with other survivors to find a way off Jupiter's dead moon. The trailer shows a ton of gore and grotesque monster designs, so it's safe to say that this game will carry an M rating and will be quite the visual spectacle for players.
I'm sold.
I mean, Dead Space set the table, man.
Give me
All
that
you
game
had to
in
do is
VR.
tell me. Yeah. All you had to do is tell me that some of the original people for Dead Space came in, because it's just, I mean, I watched some gameplay afterwards of what I couldn't even begin to play. And it is a masterclass to this day in horror and creating these experiences of where what you don't see is so much more terrifying than what you
Yeah.
do. And especially innovators in the not only even the survival horror space, but just in the gaming space in general. The concept of you're not going to be able to pause this game was not something that even, a lot of great games like Resident Evil had fully figured out at the time. And they did that, right? When you pull up your menu, all you did was pull up a HUD, where you could see things. Isaac's character could pull his inventory out or see stats. But you couldn't just panic pause anymore to avoid jump scares. His health was visible through that spinal column right on his back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and your ammo was always scarce, like a true survival horror game. A lot is right there. So I don't doubt at all that this game is going to be proved to be very popular. But man, guys, we have so much more to get to. This is, like I said, it's such a meaty state of play.
I think we got to hit on at least one or two more. There's some big hitters we haven't gotten to yet, Nick, right? I mean,
we're looking at the same thing there, Brad, and we got to jump right into it. That is Street Fighter VI. The only thing that we had seen prior was basically a logo reveal that kind of got dunked on because it didn't really look like a traditional Street Fighter logo. And this didn't look like a traditional Street Fighter trailer, because the beginning of it shows this open world sequence that really it wasn't reminiscent at all of what you would expect from a traditional, especially a staple platform, or rather a staple fighter like Street Fighter. But eventually, as we go through this trailer, we do get to those traditional cutscenes, or rather fighting scenes. We see Chun-Li, we see Ryu and the gang, all just kind of getting their fight on. And it looks very good. But of course, the one thing that absolutely matters in this is, will the mechanics, will the gameplay be tight enough, be great enough to allow for that fighting game, a franchise fan, to really sink their teeth into it on a competitive level and want to continue investing the hours into it? What are you seeing here, Justin? Is this going to be worth our time?
I think so. Especially for what you're talking about with the mechanics of the game. Capcom has always delivered, at least in my opinion, to a Street Fighter franchise. Street Fighter 4, 5, beautiful games. The little that we've seen with 6, the open world I was a little iffy about that. It doesn't look super great to me. But again, it's something that we don't really know a lot about. However, when it actually cut to the main fighting mechanic of the game, with what we all know is Street Fighter 4, it looks super clean. I mean, it looks great. I can definitely see this being at Evo for sure. So definitely looking forward to it for sure. And 100%, yeah.
I mean, Brad, just going down the list of some of these features that they're putting in. There are some very original concepts. Forget the open world idea for Street Fighter, which is already interesting. I know Dragon Ball Z did that recently with one of their fighters.
Yeah.
And it was a fun idea of having more than just the fighting itself. But when you actually go down this list, there's a lot to get excited about, right?
One that I feel like kind of is getting overlooked here that I thought was really cool is the in-game commentating.
Yes.
Right? So you've got real-time commentary feature and they're incorporating the voices of popular fighting game community commentators like Jeremy Vicious Lopez and Ryutaro Aru Noda into the game. So every fight you're going to hear, it's going to feel like it's a live action fight with real commentary dictating and responding to the combinations that you're fighting with your characters. And I think that is going to make this feel even more intense and exciting as you see and you go back and forth in the competitive modes. I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to the foundation that Street Fighter's built through the first 5 games.
Guilty pleasure playing video games growing up, and I still do it sometimes to this day when no one's listening.
You do it for yourself?
Who doesn't? Yes, who doesn't want to play a fighting game or any kind of game at what you think is a competitive level and have that commentary, right? I'll commentate my own fights, Oh my gosh, what an amazing counter. He read that play all the way. The best Kirby main in Smash, it's not even close. But to act genius, Brad, going down this list, that's the first thing I saw. I said, this is incredible. How has this not been done before?
Exactly.
And to take existing staples of the fighting game community, right? And to put them in the game. And what I love about it is they're actually going to narrate the match. It's kind of like a Madden game or a FIFA game where you're getting based on what's happening, and they're going to explain actual mechanics. And not just, that was a great punch, or Chun-Li's on point today. They're going to explain, that was a great guard counter, that was perfect timing on that super. That kind of thing. That's really going to make it easy, not only for you to play, but for someone to sit down next to you that doesn't know a darn thing about the game, and just to get some better understanding of how the game is playing. I'm with you all the way, man. This is a really cool feature.
And to have those folks come in and do it and not just be a developer or someone on a development team that's doing the voiceover. It's like respected, known fighting game community commentators, right? So there's like added value, like there's notoriety and name brand likeness associated with those announcers, those commentators, right? So I mean, that's going to add so much more to it. I mean, they are launching a few new game modes, a control scheme options. You've got the classic control type is back alongside with some other options. The modern control allows you to jump into action with simplified input. So for those who want to have the casual experience, hit those combos quickly, you've got the ability to select a control scheme that allows you to, I think, play a little bit more effortlessly, but there's also the customization for those who are going to want to be able to really hone in on their combos and have that core fighting mechanics be really focused in those different drive system areas. So I think they've created an environment with Street Fighter 6 that's going to be great for casual and passionate hardcore gamers alike. I think there's something here that is offered to everyone, and it should be a lot of fun.
I sure hope so, man. I just know there have been such major flops with new fighting games getting released, right? That we need these types of games, especially for such a staple franchise like Street Fighter, to do well. And I'm sorry, I will throw up a red flag here with the open world concept, because in this space, in today's day and age, where AAA games, man, the crunch is more real than ever. And even with that crunch, we still can't seem to get a fully polished game after 5 years of development. That's just kind of the new normal. So for every dev hour that went towards this open world concept, instead of actually making a tight, enjoyable, and competitively a viable fighting game, there's a concern there that, what's going to happen there? Will this end up being a half-baked product as a result of feature bloat, right? Trying to it really incorporate too many things and try to be too much to too many people. Time will tell, but I think there was a very stark difference in this trailer between the open world setting and the actual in-game fighting. That part looks good. Yeah. I am optimistic about this, hoping we get on other platforms eventually. I'm all about it. And our listeners here are also getting excited about it as well. We have Nobro in it. What's going on, man? Saying Street Fighter 6 could be cool, but I hope Street Fighter X Mortal Kombat comes out, even if it comes out in the year 2200. So what he's referring to there is there was, and this was a news article that broke recently about, apparently Ed Boon came out on the record and said that there was plans to create a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat kind of crossover versus game like Marvel versus Capcom, but it got canned ultimately. Man, that's the dream. So
like
hopefully we can get those.
Can we just do on that for just a minute? Can we talk about our dream matchups? If you had a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat crossover, what would be your dream matchup?
Vega and Baraka.
Yeah?
Ooh. Okay.
You didn't waste any time there. I like that.
That was a quick response there.
Yeah. I'm going to go Ryu versus Sub-Zero. I'm going for like staple characters.
All right.
You know?
No, see, I got
Yeah.
I got
Traditional
one better,
martial
dude.
artists.
It's got to
Okay.
be Ryu versus Liu Kang. I mean, that
Okay.
is
All right.
the
Yeah.
quintessential matchup in my opinion. Liu Kang and Ryu are like the protagonists or one of the most identifiable characters from both
Yeah,
both
sure. That's
of those
good.
platforms. So, and then
Yeah.
and then as a counter to that, you've got Ken versus Johnny Cage. I mean, come on, like like
Yeah, the swagger battle.
swagger
Yeah.
Flowchart Ken all the way.
and then as kind of a dark horse, I'd go Guile versus Kano. That would be
Jeez.
bro.
Ooh.
Like,
You've been thinking about this for a while, Brad. Man, you were
Like,
ready for that
I'm
topic
just
to get
saying,
sprung on us.
if you look at, I spoon fed it and I was waiting to come back on it. So,
Okay.
All right,
but-
Cammy and Sonya.
Wow.
okay, so, I mean, you look
We're
at
gonna go
that
to
and see-
military route.
and I would
Yeah.
go, Justin, who'd you first say?
Vega and
from-
Baraka.
So I would go Baraka versus Goro. Beast
Baraka-
versus
okay.
Beast. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So,
Yeah, a lot of great matchups there.
there-
Make the
the-
game,
the-
please.
Yeah, folks, can we get this game? We just
Do
built
it.
your marketing campaign right there. You
There
tease
you
the
go.
matchups, you tease it, and then you've got Mortal Kombat camp versus Street Fighter camp. It'll sell itself.
And Nobro jumping in with Johnny Cage versus Guile. There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
There's,
Yeah, I mean-
there's so many parallels. Every fighting game has its like archetype, right? Of just throw those two people in the ring and see what happens. But I mean, look, overall, a lot to get excited about. I'm really cheering for Street Fighter to really make a triumphant return. It's just been so long. And man, guys, we have even more to talk about on this state of play. I'm going to jump to kind of the last big reveal there towards the end. And we knew this was going to get revealed eventually, but now that it's actually happened, it just feels so surreal. It's Final Fantasy XVI. Finally, a new numbered Final Fantasy after all this time. That isn't just a remake or just another spin-off of an existing game. 15's been done to death, 14's still going as an MMO. That we're getting that new one, and I have to tell you, as someone that really appreciates the music and art style that Final Fantasy brings to the JRPG space, in 2020s and beyond, I loved this trailer just strictly from a hype standpoint. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to see from the standpoint of who are the protagonists. It looked like it was a lone protagonist. What is their motive? What is their goal? Typically, when you're in these JRPGs, you can the tropes already exist. But what I loved about this trailer was the emphasis on the summons. Guys, I mean, we haven't seen really I think back to like Final Fantasy X, okay? When the summons were just they had weight, they had merit, they had backstory. When you got them and got to use them, they felt so awesome. It seems like we're almost getting like an Avatar: The Last Airbender style vibe with this, where you're going to be focusing on getting those summons and the nations that they're from and the stories that come with them as you bring them into battle. Justin, I mean, you're a JRPG guy. What are you seeing here?
I'm going to disagree with you on how hyped I was for that trailer.
Okay. Give it to me.
I kind of had a lot of beef with it. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to JRPGs, and don't get me wrong, the game looks phenomenal. It looks beautiful. It looks great. It's going to be another exciting entry into the FF family for sure. It seems like Final Fantasy is really kind of abandoning their old fan base who really thrived and loved the whole turn-based style. And I get things have to change and adapt to modern times, but they have really just 100% given up on that fan base. The Final Fantasy 16, it looks like Kingdom Hearts with better graphics, with the way the mechanics are fighting. From what we've seen, the whole summon thing looked awesome. Not a fan of it though. We don't really know much about it, but whenever we saw the summons fighting, it almost seemed like it's like a fighting game, like Street Fighter, because they had 2 health bars. I'm just sitting there looking for a combo meter or something. Like I don't get it. Again, we don't know much about it. They've just this little teaser. Story wise, and it's just the overall aesthetics of the game. It does look like it's kind of reverted back to the core of older Final Fantasy games, and it actually seems like they're tying could be tying in, I should say, they could be tying into Final Fantasy XIV itself, which looks that could be pretty cool, which is unheard of in a Final Fantasy because as far as I'm aware, no other Final Fantasy has ever really related to another Final Fantasy in the same universe.
So Justin, you hit it on it for me. You just said that because when I looked at the state of play, there were a lot of details shared on the development cycle and the creating team behind the game, right? And if you look at that, that was the biggest takeaway from me. If you look at the people they talked about, the producer, obviously we know Naoki Yoshida, but the main director, creative directors, art directors, a lot of these people were the core team that brought Final Fantasy XIV back from the brink. Right. So to have that core team now be leading the effort for Final Fantasy 16, I mean, they've got all their biggest players directly involved for this production. And I think that should be reassuring to our listeners and to the Final Fantasy audience that, you know, considering how brilliant and how successful 14 was from an MMO standpoint.
True. Yeah.
I think
I still play it myself. So
this group knows how to make a pretty damn good game when it comes to Final Fantasy. So I think for me, that's the biggest takeaway is that they're not messing around with a new creative team. They're bringing the right players back to the table to make Final Fantasy 16 be super successful.
I'm seeing it. Yeah. And Justin, I totally get what you're saying as far as not only from the standpoint of not being turn-based anymore. I think 13 was the last time they kind of flirted with the idea of sort of being like a quasi, turn-based state. And then from there, it just went full kind of Kingdom Hearts, like you said. But I think the bigger concern that I have is when I play a JRPG, I want a wide cast of characters. I want people I want that classic ragtag group of people that are coming together from all walks of life for whatever reason to become the warriors of light and overcome, the greater evil in their realm. And I don't need a whole lot of deviation from that. And when you've gotten to the 16th entry in the saga, it's like a soap opera that's been on for 40 years. You're not going to throw anything at me I haven't seen before. The Simpsons already did it. Just give me my Final Fantasy. And so, to see that lone protagonist, right, and not see that opportunity for those, that colorful cast of characters, right, where you have a character like Tidus and Waka and Lulu who all just have their own vibrant personalities that play off of each other and grow as a party. I'm hoping we get that, but, based on what we've seen today, again, this trailer really seemed to put more of an emphasis on the summons and the combat than anything else. This is a ways out, summer of 2023. Going by the average AAA delay cycle, we're probably looking at maybe, if you're lucky, Christmas of 2023, probably more like Q1.
Well, and I can tell you why, Nick, why there was some focus on the combat. Again, I'd get back to the staff. The combat director for this game is Ryota Suzuki, and what he's known for is the combat direction for Devil May Cry 5, Dragon's Dogma, games that had really good action combat in the games, right? So there is a pedigree here that you're going to be getting in this game that I think is coming from the staff that are designing this. So I think there's a proof in the pudding. We've talked several times on this podcast about gaming delays, the shifts, things, creative direction, people leaving these AAA platforms, these games that end up flopping. It's because you don't have a cohesive unit. And I'm looking at this top to bottom from the top end, and it looks really promising.
So my thing is with this whole the direction that they're going, it's really deterred from what Final Fantasy has been.
Yeah.
And my 2 cents would be to just keep going with that direction, but create a different IP. And actually, I mean, 'cause it's like you're saying, this is very much so Devil May Cry or Kingdom Hearts style fighting. It's more action based and more action packed, more or less, than a strategic aspect, what JRPGs are traditionally known for. And it's kind of just derailed from that entirely, in my opinion. But that's just my takeaway from all this is if they were just to take these games like 16, create a whole new IP, and then kind of focus on that traditional aspect of what Final Fantasies are. I mean, I'm a traditionalist JRPGs, but that would make me happy about it. But not going to happen, of course.
Where are you at, Nick? Where how do you feel? Are you in the middle? Are you a traditionalist like Justin? Where are you at?
I like both camps. I love Kingdom Hearts for the combat. So I enjoy that kind of gameplay, but if I'm being honest, for me, Final Fantasy is at its core, it's at its best when it finds its rhythm with turn-based, or at least maybe turn-based with some dashes of action sequences or extra mechanics in there that make it more than just classic Final Fantasy 1 push button to attack, that kind of thing. But overall, I'm kind of fair to middling with it. I think the music got me pumped, and that's a big thing. I need a JRPG with an absolute banger of a soundtrack. I want that combat theme to be good because I'm going to be hearing it for 90% of the game. Take it from there. If you can pull that part off, I'm probably going to be okay. And as the Dudist Monk has already asked, how is the fashion? That's the important thing, right? You gotta have the crazy looks. I'm sure they'll monetize it somehow. And I'll tell you, Justin and Brad, you can give me a Bahamut materia any day to summon the coolest stuff in the game, but at the end of the day, I'm going to send it back because my favorite summons are our QTB crew supporters on Patreon. Hit it, DJ! Oh yeah, thanks as always to our Patreon supporters like our Enfuego supporters, Epic Capture Productions, Matt.Bat, and our newest QTB Enfuego supporter, Alexa Hayon. Welcome to the family, we appreciate it. And our QTB Plus supporters, Nick, the Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, the Intergalactic Pinecone, and Fluffy Bunny. Justin is vibing so hard right now, and I am just all about it. Listen, for as little as $2 per month, you can get access to some amazing bonus content like the QTB Nostalgia Vault, and you get 24-hour early access to the QTB podcast before it goes live on the public feeds with the director's cut, including our intro, our pre-show, and post-show that you will not hear anywhere else. Again, an exclusive merch at our $5 tiers and higher. You can't go wrong. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/quitthebuild. The link is in the show notes.
Hey, Nick.
And there you go.
I like that jingle.
I was going to say, that felt like our 7th inning stretch. I'm ready to hit it here. I'm ready to take it home. What do we got left to cover today?
That's a lot of content already, right? Yeah, that was pretty much an episode in of itself. But we do have one more thing to get to. It's not a breaking story per se, but it's been a really fun conversation. And that is about the newest trailer for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So we got a 3-minute thing, right? And it showed a lot of the in-game footage for it, showing the starters that we've already talked about in our past episodes, which are very charming characters via Pokemon in their own right. But we did get to see, some new little things here and there, the new professors, the new hairstyles, that kind of thing, the new legendaries. But most importantly, according to the interwebs, and I would know, I made a TikTok about it, some of the new Pokemon, the kind of just like a basic wild Pokemon that we're going to encounter in this world. Of course, I'm talking about my boy, the Lechonk, right?
Baby, no piggity.
Cute piggity. Love this pig. It's so fun, man.
You're
every
talking about
time.
a banger, Nick, man. That TikTok was a banger, man. I'm telling you, man. If you haven't checked out our TikTok, go check out Nick.
Yes.
His jingles are one of a kind, and this Lechonk TikTok video is amazing.
So yeah, and thank you. It was fun to make, and it's fun. It's a fun one to loop. Trust me. So yeah, we saw a couple Pokemon, right? Among them were Smoliv, which was a cute one too. But we also got this Lechonk, which is he's just a roly-poly pig, man. And this is Pokemon at its best. I don't need overly complicated gimmicks with my Pokemon. I know that's part of it with the elements and and trying to create something that you haven't made before when you've already made 800 plus Pokemon. But at the end of the day, if you just get look at that, what happened with Sword and Shield. Wooloo was announced, or we found out it was just a rolling sheep, a very basic sheep with cross eyes. Everyone went nuts for Wooloo, and the same thing is happening here with Lechonk. I love the name. Justin, come on, you gonna get you one of these?
I think I might get this shirt I just found. It's Toon Link carrying Lechonk above his head. It's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lechonk's awesome. I mean, come on, look at him. He's a pig. He's crying. He looks so adorable and sad at the same time. I just want to cuddle him. But
that's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's the news.
I mean,
there you go.
I mean, that is the beauty and the essence of Pokemon. Like you said it, Nick, right? There's so much simplicity about Lechonk, but also its validity. If you look at the name, Lechonk, I mean, the first part of the name comes from Lechon, which is French for a roasted pig. So, and then
Right.
chonk, obviously, as we know, we use the word chonky, chonk, full of chonk for any chunky, fat little animal, like, it's round, right? So,
Yeah.
Lechonk in itself there's so many over the different generations of Pokemon. We've seen the clever names that have come out, and this is right up there with some of the best, right?
Yeah. And we've had some lazy ones, right? Like you think back to like some of the Pokemon like Lechonk that are just basic animals, right? Think about Gen 1. Like I'm going to be doing some
Ekans.
TikToks. It's going to go pretty hard on Gen 1. I've got them planned. Like first of all,
Nice.
seal, right? You just changed one letter in seal and it's a seal. Like ship it out, right? Then you have Ekans, which is just a snake with snake spelled backwards.
Arbok is Cobra backwards. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you just blew my mind. I never realized it was snake.
You didn't know that? Oh my gosh! Wow.
My childhood
my.
is just my universe is shattered.
There's no other reason Ekans. Like there's no wordplay there. It's like, oh yeah, it's just backwards. But little things like that where like we're seeing more, I think, creativity and originality with even the common Pokemon that we're running
Right.
into. That's really making it so that it's a novel experience and a great way to say, hey, this they show the legendaries, which look interesting in their own right. But look, at the end of the day, my thing about Pokemon is the same thing about Final Fantasy. You are not going to show me anything that's original enough to be like, oh, I have to get the game for that specific reason. Every gen of Pokemon has tried this with the the Z forms, right? And the mega evolutions, all that kind of thing. And it ultimately just comes down to some kind of novel one-off gimmick mechanic. Give me the cute Pokemon, give them cute names, and just give me a game that feels finished, right? That's a big complaint. Look, Sword and Shield, broken game. To this day, really isn't all that well polished. There were just so many places, especially in the wild zones, where you could just tell where they cut corners. And yet, it still ends up, Pokemon Sword and Shield, as of like January of this year, February, became the second best selling game in the Pokemon franchise and the 5th top selling game for the Switch, which just goes to show you that Pokemon, you don't need quality in your games anymore simply because the license sells itself. And I think that's a concern. So I'm just, what I'm seeing here in the trailer, it looks good, but it's curated. I want to know, am I going to run into that same problem in Sword and Shield where I see this just broken experience?
I thought you had a Lechonk joke there. I thought you were saying it was cured, like cured ham, but you said
Oh,
cured.
man. Wow, I should have, then we could have done that, and everyone would have been
I'm
missed
sorry.
having a good time.
I heard it in my mind. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you're right, Nick. I think, it's amazing to me that you do have a game that, I'll say with Sword and Shield that there were corners that were cut and yet it still does so well. Like it just validates that the brand sells itself and stick to this is where you stick to your bread and butter. You got to put out the cute Pokemon, keep it simple, have, the models there, right? I mean, this is one where I'm not looking for something that's groundbreakingly new. I want some formula here. You know what I mean? I want it to be what I've had before, and I just want new Pokemon. And if I can get more Lechonk, then I am loving it. You know what I mean? So,
I'm looking forward to this game, man. I'll probably end up buying it. I'll wait for reviews, and then I'll still be like, it's Pokemon. I have to get it.
Can we update that? The blog that was put out on our website about the recipes with Pokemon. I think we're gonna a Lechonk McRib.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Or
what a segue.
man.
We'll have to get Terry to update that article. Yeah, great one on our blog there at quitthebuild.com/blog. Terry's recipes for Pokemon of various courses, right? And I think, Terry even says here in the chat, right? Lechonk at the top of the list, right? And you can't go wrong with some barbecue there, some smoked Lechonk.
I could, I've got the smoker. Just bring me
There
a
you go.
Lechonk and
That's
we'll
all
make
you
it
need.
Rolling
happen.
around on your trigger grill. Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
This turned
that got
really dark.
Epic Capture says, Lechonk ribs, I'll take 7. That's right.
You're gonna need a lot of Lechonks. He looks tiny.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, you'll need multiple. But if he's a common Pokemon, we'll be like Rattatas and Pidgeys, right? They're everywhere.
We'll have a farm. or we just evolve them.
yeah.
We'll see what his evolved form ends up being, and it'll be a big.
Hey, there you
So
go.
the rumor is that it's a pig with like mascara. So people are saying like, don't evolve your Lechonk, and I believe it. The
Does the
evolution
mascara
can only
run?
disappoint you when the base form is that cute. Just don't evolve it. Just be a little piggy boy forever.
I could see that. I'm a
Who cares
fan-
about Raichu?
I'm a fan of the first gen. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Ash
Raichu had his
Ash
place.
never evolved as Bulbasaur. He kept Bulbasaur. He kept Bulbasaur. Not didn't get a Venusaur.
Didn't
So
Bulbasaur refuse to evolve? Didn't he like resist it?
even better.
Oh man. Well, as always, thank you. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm not up on my Pokemon lore, but I'm pretty
No, I'm
sure
not
either.
there is some. I mean, I was a fan of wanting to keep all my Gen 1 starters, with exception of maybe Charizard in their first gen form or their first primary form.
Yeah.
So
Well, unlike Ash Ketchum, I managed to hang on to my Butterfree because sleep powder is a viable tactic in combat, Ash. Letting your bug types go. Bug types get no love, man. It's a whole rant. It's a whole rant. But nonetheless, thank you so much to our sponsor, Pierce Unlimited, for marketing media that works and bespoke design to power your business. Visit pierceunlimited.com. And everybody, thank you so much, as always, for tuning into the podcast. Again, please visit our website, quitthebuild.com, /blog is one place you can go, but just go to quitthebuild.com. Say hello to all the friendly folks there. You can link up on our community page to get hooked up with our Twitter, our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, we have our Discord, all sorts of great gaming conversations happening there. And make sure to check out our friend Justin over here, right? We got some blog articles from him. If you like the Resident Evil stuff, we got some more stuff, reviews and what have you, coming from you, Justin. And where can they find you on Twitch?
Night Strider. Night, spelled regularly, Night, and Strider's 2 I's, Striider. You'll see me over there streaming some Final Fantasy VII original.
Still going for those speed runs, huh?
Yeah, when I can.
Go.
School has kind of got me boggled down a little bit, so. But yeah, when I can. Oh, actually, if I can, real fast. Currently, when I do stream, I'm streaming through Resident Evil 1.5, and that is the that was the game Capcom was going to release prior to them scrapping the entire game at 80% completion and then remaking it from ground up to make Resident Evil 2 what we know of as today.
Okay.
So that's what I'm playing now.
Was that like recently leaked or something? Like I'm surprised I haven't heard more about it.
Over the years, there has been a group of, I believe, modders who have gotten like little chunks of data of it and they've stitched it together.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm playing through Elsa, whom is Claire in the regular Resident Evil 2. We're playing through Elsa right now, and we're getting really close to the end of where we can't play anymore, unfortunately. But I'm going to go back through playing as Leon.
That's so cool,
Yeah,
Brett,
it's
isn't
awesome.
it? Just like the
I love it.
dedication that gamers can the things that they will do for game preservation or just to play a game they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
We got.
I'm waiting
I gotta
for that
check it out. I
copyright
gotta
strike.
check out the stream. I got to see it, Justin. I gotta
Yeah.
come over. I mean,
I got to tell you, man, RE 1.5, hardest game I've ever played in the series. That game was super hard.
Wow, you're the authority too. Okay. Very
you
interesting
heard,
stuff. All right,
you heard it here first. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have the link to your Twitch there in the show notes. So, Justin, as always, thank you for being a guest here on the podcast.
Thanks for
man. We
having
appreciate
me.
it.
It's awesome.
Are
Always
we,
a pleasure.
are we
being
gonna
here.
have him? Are we gonna give him the warning, Nick? Are we gonna give him a chance to get it
He's
right?
done this before. If he doesn't know it's coming, then it's his own
I know
fault.
it's coming. I'm just afraid
And
I'm going to screw it up again.
You're going second, Justin. All right, everybody. Thank you
going
so
second.
much for joining us here on the QTB podcast. Until next time, for Justin and Brad, I'm Nick.
For Brad and Nick, I'm Justin.
And for Nick and Justin, I'm Brad. Peace out.
Hey, we
What
pulled it
it
off.
do?
Yes.